Hello, Headhunting Housewives. It's Diane O'Brien, your recruiter. It is Wednesday morning, and we're in week 5. And I just want to send out a quick debriefing on some candidates that are coming through to make sure everyone is on the same page. So, first of all, we're doing great. We're right on schedule. It's the first week of May 2020. Everyone's moved in from the sourcing and screening and learning how to do that pretty well to now the recruiting side. Now, keep in mind, as you go into recruiting and start asking questions and maybe doing some live chats with your candidates, you'll continue to do the sourcing, obviously. That kind of never stops until the client, or if I say stop on this one, we're pretty far enough and continue in these. So I know I sent a bunch of emails out this week saying, hey, these are your good candidates, stop on that one. If you had a good sales rep, I'd say stop on the sales, but maybe we need more recruiters, or if you're working the management role. And so, I'll let you, as the client, will let you know where to keep working, where to stop. And that's forever shifting week to week. Openings get put on hold sometimes, a great candidate surfaces. So all those that looked great, they were kind of coming through the pipeline, might just get put on hold to see what happens with that first candidate interviewing. So there's a lot that goes on, obviously, behind the scenes that if you're new to recruiting, you're not familiar with. So I want to cover some of that today too, as you're kind of sourcing and hunting out there, maybe, email chatting or talking to candidates for these roles. So I'm going to be more careful and not give the name of the company and all today, because this is a private little group chat I'm sending out, but I might use this for teaching purposes publicly. So I'll give specifics offline. But anyway, so the first thing I want to talk about, I emailed out some things saying, hey, these candidates look great, move forward, going over these things, or, keep this one warm, keep this on ice. And I want to, after I sent those out, I'm like, do people know what that means in recruiting? So when a client tells you, and again, for purposes of today, I'm the client, since the candidates are coming through me to get to our client, as you're training to be a recruiter. So when a client says that person looks good, can you keep them warm? I know it's something you don't like to hear, because I'm on that side of the boat as well, because you do all this work, you're talking maybe to people, even you have someone great, you're excited, you want to give it in front of the client. They see the resume, they like it, but they're like, hey, keep them warm for a while. And it sounds like the kiss of death, because timing kills deals. There's other jobs out there. They'll lose momentum. So I get all of that. However, that is a little bit the nature of the beast, and you're going to have to work with that. That's just the way it goes. So of course, when you first get a job, the quickest kind of to get the good ones in, the early bird kind of gets the worm, but those people fall off at all different times. So don't feel like yours is put on hold for whatever reason. It could be there's someone already in play, or like I said, the client's focusing on other things and hasn't even gotten to that list of candidates. So don't take it personal, first of all. That's really important. Keep doing what you're doing. Refocus where you have to refocus quickly, week to week, so and here my Zoom. It must be with all the people using Zoom lately. I keep cutting off. So if it cuts off, I'm going to keep talking. But, keep focused on that. And keeping them warm, basically that just means, it doesn't have to be a phone call. You can really make good use of your time. You can just text, however you've been communicating with them. If it's on text, I usually use, email, text, or LinkedIn. Only giving my text and cell to people that I'm really strong on, so that they're not, texting you out of the blue. So if it's on LinkedIn chat, or if it is through Indeed or email, however you're doing it, follow up and say, whatever the case may be, hey, your resume looks great. The hiring manager likes it, or the client likes it. They'll be reaching out to you next week. Is your availability good? In the old days, again, real quick regarding availability, I used to get set times for clients, and I would get, actually schedule it. Don't have time for that anymore because of the volume of business. And in a way, I almost want you to learn better. Instead of spending years like I did and playing scheduler, that's not your main role. It's recruiter, right? So just get their number. Sorry, I cut off. I'm going to keep talking. Just get their phone number, their cell, and that way when you email it to the client as follow-up, have that cell numbers kind of right, in the title or something, so it's easy for the hiring manager if they come to their desk and they're like, oh yeah, I want to call XYZ candidate, but where's their number? If they have to fumble for a number or go back in emails, they might get a phone call and not get back to that person, or just forget, or life takes over. So help them be organized as much as you can by making it easy. So when you resend that email saying, hey, this person's been on hold for a week or so, and you said you'd like them, or shall I let them know you'll be reaching out to them, or not, let me know. Just make those notes right in the phone number right in the subject. So that's what you're sending to your client. Like, here's the person you like. They're available at any time for your call at your convenience. most candidates nowadays with the cell phone, you want them to be flexible so you can navigate them to saying that. If they're very firm, like, look, I'm totally booked, I can only speak at 2 p.m. on Tuesday or 5 o'clock on Friday, just let them know that, for these roles, it's a little bit different if we're doing maybe like a CFO role once you get into higher level roles, but we're doing like recruiting people and sales people, they should be able to be somewhat flexible. So they can say if mornings or afternoons are better or a certain day, but try to teach them as well to try to be as flexible as possible, because this is going to be a long process to get hired. Week one, by the time maybe it's week 4 or week 5 for you, but it might be then week 1 of it going to the client, right? So they're starting over now with the client, and that'll take weeks of interviews and then maybe more weeks of the offer happening. So you're in it for the long haul, so they're going to need patience and flexibility. So set them up for that thinking to begin with. So that's what the whole keep warm thing means. And also, while I'm talking about it, I mentioned about how right now they're going to the client. We are right on time as well for these roles also, that all through April we were sourcing and hunting on. Usually after a recruiter and sourcers do their job for those first 2 to 4 weeks, as we've done on all these roles, by the second month, they should be all getting handoff to the client, because it'll take the client usually almost 2 to 4 weeks again to kind of get their ducks in a row and have their calls, or these days it's Zoom with Corona going on. So, in some aspects you hoped it would speed up, but often it can actually slow it down because their onboarding is going to be very different right now. So again, patience is the key here. Not only do I feel like the early bird gets the worm, but the person that sticks with it, at the same time, what's the other analogy with the tortoise wins the race, right? So both of those are true. You want to be quick to the party and quick get your people in there, but then also stay in the game week to week to week to week. Don't give up if you're not hearing anything. Don't assume things. Timing is everything. Slowly, the right person will rise up. That whole thing where I talk about the cream of the crop that happens often on its own without a lot of your work. So sometimes recruiters get busy, busy, busy talking all day to people, and it gets them nowhere. And then you have recruiters that just maybe take their time doing chats online and waiting to see who ends up still being in the game 3 weeks in. Might not have been the real hot shot you thought, but someone that was very strong, you weren't sure about, but really had great follow-up, kept following up with you, kept emailing, doing all the things that successful people do. So let it happen naturally as well. I know I've spoken to that. And again, a lot of these recordings might be repetitive, but that's a lot of what this practicing recruiting is. I mean, from his 20 years now, I've been doing the same stuff over and over, just slowly improving it, hopefully. Sometimes you feel like you fall back, then take 5 steps forward and then fall back again. But whatever it may be, just kind of stay in it week to week to week. And as you all know, we have a set schedule of how we're doing things. If you have questions for me, you definitely can email that to me during the week, and I'll try to get to that by Friday. I'm going a little slow right now because I'm a little overwhelmed with different clients and jobs, and it's almost taking me up to a week and a half to 2 weeks. So to sit tight, I'm not forgetting about you. I'm just, trying to get back to everybody, and I'll probably have a smaller group in the fall, I've realized. But for right now, we will keep doing what we're doing, and everyone's doing fantastic. And I know another thing I want to share with you while I have you here is that something else you'll see as I'm teaching you or emailing you back to your candidates is that not only do I say keep warm, but I may have said, like, put this person on ice. What's the difference mean? This might just be the lingo that I use, just like I use certain red flags and things in the resumes when I'm interviewing. I'll teach you all. But what that means, to put on ice versus keep warm, kind of like it sounds. You're keeping someone warm. They're very good. We want to talk to them, but we're just waiting for, time to open up to do so. So you want to kind of keep them, knowing that we're interested, keep them warm, knowing that the job's still open, to hang in there, make sure you're letting them know, ask them to let them know if another job comes up, to kind of let that, because that will happen. You'll lose good people just while waiting, unfortunately. It's the way it goes. The put kind of this person on ice a little bit is something more where, let's say we have a role, like if there's a role right now, we have a management position. And sometimes the management role might be put on hold for a little bit because they are focusing on other things first. It's not the priority. So sometimes you're like putting someone on ice because it's just completely on hold. It could be indefinitely, where they don't even come back to hire till like when the budget opens up next quarter, next year. So that's not like you're keeping them warm, week to week. It's more like saying, hey, I know I spoke to you about this job last week, about a manager job. I just found out that they're holding off on that right now. So you might not hear from me, for a few weeks. Obviously, I understand if you get another job, but just want to let you know what's going on. But if you're still game, I'll reach out to you when they're starting to interview again and find out what the candidate says. Again, this can be via email. This doesn't be live talk. So often if they're like, oh, well, I got other jobs, I probably won't be around, then fine, you know that. If they're like, yeah, I'm still looking, but please keep me in mind, great. So go off what they're saying to in their feedback. Usually the most flexible people, the most positive, if you get a bunch of negative flack back, like, what do you mean? Or if any negativity comes up, I feel like, or just people that aren't easy to deal with, that's a turnoff for me. And that helps me realize they weren't the one anyway. So take it all in stride and just trust the process is going to help you find the right person anyway, because you're going to have these ups and downs when you're sourcing, now that you're learning recruiting and talking to people and all that good stuff. So that's kind of what the whole put them on ice for a bit means. It's not like keeping them warm week to week, but tell them it could be a few weeks, right? I think there's any other lingo that I said that you guys are saying, what do you mean by that? And so if there is, if I'm emailing you or sending you these quick voicemail clips to help you on your path here in learning recruiting, feel free, like I said, just to email. And then by my free Fridays, which I'm trying to still do as much as possible, I'll try to give that info so it helps everyone learning this right now. So that's that. So we're in month 2. Just again, congrats for everyone that stuck it through all of month 1 and learned the sourcing. And now continuing to practice the sourcing, going into recruiting. Everyone is doing fantastic and right where you should be. So keep up the good work. Continue on the sourcing path on what we talked about as even you find good candidates and they might be moving to me. Once that handoff happens, we'll discuss more what that handoff is and how you keep the people warm, make sure we're not duplicating efforts. We'll get more into that here in May. But for right now, once you do the pass off, like most of you are just kind of doing your first pass off here, first or second, go back to sourcing. That's kind of starts over too, right? And remember, for this company I have us all on now for second quarter, they like the healthcare recruiters. They like 1 to 3 years, just a little bit of experience, not too much usually, so they can still train them. They want that range of money where they're not making too much. They can kind of come in again and ramp them up. So I won't give them money on this public one possibly, but the money range. So kind of keep them hopefully in that range. The lower to mid-level is better. So you want it to be a jump up for people. So, look at those things as you're doing your sourcing. Make sure the resume speaks to good experience, not too many job hoppers like we talked about, but you also want to make sure they have good experience where they've done well. The resume should speak to numbers and how they recruited or how many or how well they've done. So it should have metrics on there. So when you're just sourcing, getting better at looking at resumes before taking more time on that person, look through all of that. So, okay, there's someone at my door. So I'm going to wrap that up. I hope that's helpful for everyone. And I'll speak to you, if not sooner, next week. So happy hunting.